It's time for me to reset the oil life in my 2023 Giulia Quadrifoglio. The only problem is that if you have one of these cars manufactured in 2018 or later, you will need to bypass a secure gateway module that has been installed in these cars. And that's where this guy comes into play. I'm going to be showing you guys how to install one of these cables right here to bypass the secure gateway module. I'm also going to be telling you why it's not a good idea to leave this permanently installed in your car. Before we start the installation, I want to mention something that's very important, something that I learned as I was doing the installation. The easiest way to get this job done is first to make sure that you pull this down right here, and then you push this steering column all the way up as far as it will go. You also want to pull it all the way out as far as it will go. Then we can put this back, and then you have plenty of room in there to stick your hand in there. All right, let's go to the installation. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do here is to disconnect the battery here. So this is the negative terminal right here. We're just gonna push, there's a button here that you push in, and then you lift this thing up at the same time, and that disconnects the battery right there. Just gonna go ahead and set that aside. So once we've done that, just make sure that you don't close this trunk lid. There is a lanyard right here that you can pretty much take out. You just twist this open, and this right here, if you do need to close the trunk lid, make sure that this is sticking out when you do close it. In my case, I'm not going to worry about that right now, but that's just an FYI. If you do close it with the battery disconnected, you're going to have a hard time getting back in there. As you guys will notice here, there's some wires here in the way. I removed those. This is not necessary. I'm doing this just so that I can show you guys more clearly what's going on back there. So I use this prying tool right here that I have in my hands, and this is helpful to remove this stuff here. Once I loosen this up from here, I just pulled on it like so. Okay, and then I can move this out of the way. Again, this is something that's totally optional. I'm not recommending that you do that unless you absolutely need to. Now let me show you guys the wire harnesses that we need to remove for the secure gateway. Those are these right back here. Okay, there's one here and there's one right next to it back there. Okay, so the one in the back there was pretty easy to remove. There's a tab there on the right hand side. You just push the tab and then kind of pull it out. It comes right off. This one, on the other hand, was more difficult for me to remove, at least in my case. You know, I pushed this tab right here on the right and try to wiggle it out, and it wasn't coming out. I tried using pliers, didn't work. You can see here that it actually broke a little bit of the plastic here on the edge. Not a big deal, didn't really do any damage there. So what I ended up having to do was to push the tab and then kind of pull down on these wires a little bit. I know that was kind of concerning a little bit. I didn't want to damage anything, but I did pull down on these wires a little bit. Let me go ahead and remove those so I can show you guys what they look like. This is the one in the back. This one's smaller than this one right here. Just an FYI. All right, so the hardest part is done. The next part is to get those wire harnesses and connect them into this cable right here, okay? The small one will go in here and the big one will go right here. This is what it looks like once they've been connected. And this would be where I would connect my ODB device right here, okay? So you will no longer be using this one right here, okay? You're only going to be using this one. Let's talk about what it is that we're doing here. What you're seeing on screen is the Secure Gateway Module, or SWG module, which is installed in these vehicles. All right, so it's not only Alfa Romeo that is doing this, but many other vehicles as well, such as Audis, Nissans, Infinitis, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Renault. As time goes by, more and more car manufacturers are going to start adopting these devices. When a car has one of these devices installed, that means that you can only read information from the car. For example, you can see what type of error codes the car is throwing and looking at live data and things like that. But this is a one-way communication, meaning that we're not allowed to write to the system. This module here blocks us from being able to do things such as resetting the codes or resetting the oil life, as is often the case with Alfa Romeos. So the bottom line is that this device right here can be thought of as a firewall. When you're using a computer, you're going to normally be using a firewall to protect yourself from intruders and from viruses and bloatware and so on. This device right here is what does that type of job in the car. And when we install a cable such as the one I just showed you, or we install one of the plugs that we're going to see here in a little bit, we're basically bypassing this device right here, which essentially disables the firewall in the car. And a lot of the content that you're going to find online regarding this topic is going to say that it's okay to bypass this device on a permanent basis. However, I'm here to tell you that that is not good advice, and here's why. This device right here was installed in our cars to protect the CAN network, that is the controller area network. And there are several networks in our cars that fall under this category, such as CAN B, CAN C, and CAN IHS. When we disable this device, we're turning off that firewall and essentially exposing the systems in our car to cybersecurity threats. Remember that most modern cars nowadays can be controlled remotely, and Alfa Romeos are no exception. The 2023 Giulia Quadrifoglio, for example, has a telematics box, which enables remote start, locking and unlocking of doors, and location tracking, among other things. It also allows you to view live traffic information. Additionally, this car is equipped with over-the-air updates. So don't assume that a bad actor can gain access to the systems on your car only by connecting directly to the ODB port. Let me know in the comment section if you guys would like me to do an in-depth video on this topic. But the key takeaway here is that these SGW modules have been added to our vehicles to address cybersecurity risk from the vehicle's increasing connectivity. In my case, I only plan to bypass this module if I need to reset codes or reset the oil life or things of that nature, but I don't plan to do it permanently. That's like having a Wi-Fi network at your home with no password or leaving the door unlocked when you leave the house. That may be okay for some people, but not me. Now, there are several options for you to choose from when you're wanting to bypass the SGW module. I chose to go with the least expensive one. This cable right here that you saw me installed only costs about $15 US. I will be leaving a link to this in the video description, and full disclosure, by using that link, I do get a commission. You don't have to use that link, but if you do, you will be supporting this channel. Other options include things such as this one right here, which is a plug. This is a device that you would also use to bypass the SGW module. So when you disconnect the wire harnesses that I showed you, you would plug those right into this device right here. And by doing that, you will be using the OEM ODB port in your car. So just a quick recap here. If you decide to either use this cable right here or this plug right here, I do not recommend that you leave these permanently installed in your car for the reasons that I explained earlier. However, if you still want to leave them in there, please be aware that if you leave these, for example, installed in there, then when you go to the dealer, they will not be able to hook up the scanner to the car's ODB because it will not work since it's being bypassed by this cable right here, which has its own ODB connection here. So you would have to remove this cable when you go to the dealership for them to perform the work needed. Same thing with this device right here. Although the dealership will be able to communicate with the car through the ODB port on the car, they will be able to tell that you have bypassed the SGW module. Now, I don't know if that's going to void your warranty or not, but I wouldn't take my chances. All right, guys, so the job is done here. Now let's go ahead and reconnect the battery here. Let me go ahead and start the car now. If you notice that, do not panic. You may start seeing Christmas lights on your dash. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to reset that if that happens to you. Basically, once you start the car, you're gonna turn the wheel all the way to the left until it locks. Then you're gonna turn it all the way to the right. And then you're gonna bring it back to the middle. Then we're gonna shut off the car. We're gonna wait until the dash goes completely dark. Then we're gonna go ahead and start the car once again. And that should clear all your lights. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. This is just going to be one of many videos to come. In this particular video, I showed you guys how to bypass the secure gateway. In the future video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use that red cable that I installed today to reset the oil life in this car. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this video. If you got anything out of it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel. I put out a lot of Alfa Romeo content, so if you're an Alfa Romeo fan, this is the channel for you.